To the explainer. So if you're the kind of learner who loves getting right to the core of how the universe actually works, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're focusing on just 4 incredibly concise words: electric charges and field. Now, don't let that brevity fool you, right? Hidden within those 4 tiny words is literally one of the most profound mysteries in the entire history of physics. I mean, it's a concept that completely revolutionized how we understand reality itself. So let's just dive right in and unpack exactly what these words mean for you, for me, and for literally everything around us. So here's a question for you. How do things interact without actually touching? Think about it. If I want to move a coffee cup on my desk, I've got to physically push it with my hand, right? If I want to close a door, I have to grab the handle. In our everyday, macroscopic world, interaction requires physical contact. Something pushes, and well, something else moves. But when we zoom into the microscopic world, this intuitive rule just gets completely thrown out the window. Classical physicists actually called this massive headache action at a distance. Like, how can an object over here push or pull an object way over there with absolutely nothing but empty space in between them? That right there is the central mystery our source text is trying to solve. Section 1. The invisible force, breaking down the core elements. Okay, so our source text basically breaks down into 2 main concepts. Over on the left side, we have electric charges. You can kind of think of these as the actors on a stage. They're the physical entities, the things that actually exist and do the pushing and pulling. And then on the right, we've got the electric field. Think of this as the environment, or really the stage itself where the play is taking place. Because let's face it, you can't have a performance without the actors. And those actors, they've got nowhere to perform without the stage. So by splitting our text right down the middle like this, we can logically tackle the what on the left and the where on the right. Section 2, defining electric charge, the fundamental entity. All right, so what is it? An electric charge is a fundamental property of matter that causes it to experience a force when placed in an electromagnetic environment. Now, fundamental is definitely the key word to focus on here. Just like mass is an inherent property of matter, charge is something that certain particles, like electrons and protons, just inherently possess. It's totally baked into their very existence. Think of it like a spider sitting in a forest. Even before it spins a single strand of silk, the spider exists, right? It has form, it has weight, it's an entity entirely into itself. And that is exactly what our electric charge is. It exists independently as a tiny actor in the universe. But as we just established, an actor sitting alone doesn't actually explain the interaction. Which brings us to section 3, the mystery of interaction, the problem of empty space. So how exactly do electric charges communicate their presence to one another? Let's think back to our metaphorical spider. If it's just sitting there on a leaf and another insect lands on a completely different leaf, say 10 feet away, how does the first spider even know it's there? I mean, there's no physical tether, there's no rope connecting them. It's the same with particles. If we have 2 negatively charged electrons separated by a vacuum of empty space, they're going to actively repel each other. They will push away. But what is actually doing the pushing? Space is empty, right? So how does particle A tell particle B, hey, I'm over here and I need you to move away? This, my friends, was the great crisis of action at a distance. And here is the solution. Section 4. Enter the electric field, the invisible web. The electric field is defined as the physical area surrounding electrically charged particles that exerts a force on all other charged particles within it. Let's go back to our spider analogy for a second. To know what's happening around it, the spider casts an invisible web outward in all directions. That web literally becomes an extension of the spider itself, fundamentally altering the environment around it. So when another insect lands in that area, it touches the web, which sends a vibration right back to the spider. Well, the electric field is exactly that invisible web. The charge doesn't just sit there doing nothing in empty space, it actively alters the space around it by generating this field. Suddenly, space isn't empty anymore. It's filled with this invisible mathematical web of influence. Pretty wild, right? Section 5. Charges and fields combined. The complete picture. You see, the true genius of our source material really lies in the word "and." It beautifully represents the mechanics of the universe. Let's break it down into steps. Step 1. A charge exists. Our little actor, our spider, is there. Step 2. The charge creates a field. It spins its web outward, completely altering the space around it. And then step 3. Another charge enters that field and feels a force. This right here is the ultimate solution to the mystery. The charges are never actually touching each other from a distance. Charge A doesn't push charge B directly. No, charge A pushes on the field, and the field pushes on charge B. They're interacting with the local environment right next to them. So action at a distance? It's kind of an illusion. It's actually a local interaction happening via this invisible web. To put it poetically, the field is the voice and the charge is the listener. Think about it. When I speak to you right now, my vocal cords vibrate, changing the air pressure, creating sound waves that travel across the room and hit your eardrum. I'm not physically reaching across the room to touch your ear, right? The medium between us is doing all the heavy lifting. Well, in our explainer today, the electric charge essentially sings its presence into the universe by creating an electric field. The field is the voice carrying the message across empty space. And when another electric charge enters that space, it acts as the listener, hearing that voice and physically responding to the command by either moving closer or getting pushed away. Section 6. Why it matters, the foundation of reality.
So why does all of this actually matter to us? Well, first off, it explains fundamental physical interactions. Without electric charges and fields, atoms literally wouldn't hold together. The electrons would just drift right away from the nucleus. You, the chair you're sitting on, the screen you're looking at, none of it would exist without this exact dynamic. Second, it completely solves that action at a distance mystery that plagued scientists for centuries, replacing a giant headache with the elegant logic of local field interactions. And third, it deeply unites the concepts of matter and space. Space is no longer just this boring, empty void. It's a dynamic, super active participant in reality. It actually carries the fields that dictate exactly how matter behaves. So as you go about your day to day, I want you to consider this. What other invisible fields are shaping the universe right around you? If electric charges create an electric field web, what creates the gravitational web that is literally keeping you anchored to the floor right now? Or what creates the magnetic web that guides a compass needle? Once you learn to actually see the invisible interactions in our universe, the whole world becomes an infinitely more fascinating place. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today to unpack these awesome concepts. Keep asking questions, keep looking for those invisible webs, and I will see you in the next one.